with movie theaters back, it's like we're getting January horror movies again. January horror is back in April.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right. I guess this would be like a January horror movie.
I'm curious to know if like we had a normal couple of years, if this would have come out maybe around January 15th of a given year. I didn't really know much about this movie going in, other than I caught a little bit of the trailer last week. This is the trailer that was playing when I came out to give you your ticket last week.
Yeah.
And I caught a little bit of it. I saw like, okay, spooky, possibly possession-type horror movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So at first I thought, is this like a sequel to Possession or something? The one he did like about 10 or so years ago? It's not. It's just another like religious-themed horror movie that has Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it. I will say, there is things I liked about the movie.
Okay.
The casting's good.
I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
So do I, and he's really good in this.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit like him playing Negan on the Walking Dead. That's what I want from Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I want those powerful...
So you wanted him to bash the demon's head in.
Hell yeah!
The barbed wire bat. Maybe in the R-rated version.
Hell yeah!
They do give him an F-bomb to say here. I liked his character. I liked his arc in the movie. I liked his redemption story.
Sure.
He's good. And Bill Sadler is in this as the priest. And to see William Sadler and Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing off of each other in a few scenes was nice.
Yeah.
Same with when Cary Elwes pops up in the movie. To see these three really cool actors in this flick all having scenes together and doing some sometimes kind of funny shit.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty entertaining and it was cool to see because they're all three good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Cary Elwes playing like a archbishop / gangster. Look,
with the biggest Boston accent you've ever heard.
Oh yeah, he can be a Boston gangster in this movie. Like it's going back and forth between that and like New York gangster movie, Boston or like some crime flick that I'm seeing. Like, he says to the guy like at one point he's like, "We got us a troublemaker over here. I want you to keep him out of there." Like, I'm liking this guy. I kind of like this character. You know, I like the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, even seeing that it's based on a book wasn't that surprising when I caught that at the end. Because I was like, this is probably a fairly decent book, I would imagine. Because the story's pretty solid, where Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a disgraced journalist who goes to a small town in which, at first, he's just there to investigate the possible satanic branding of a cow. That's like he's walking into an old South Park episode.
The boy with a small penis will paint the cow ginger.
You cows can't get on this train. This is a people train. You cows have no business being on this train.
And so this farmer's like, I don't know if these devil worshippers are having sex with my cows. He's like, I don't think they are. It's just, that little thing on the back is just a Metallica logo. But luckily, this happens to be right next to a haunted tree where some crazy witch hunting shit happened there a couple of centuries ago. And they find like scary doll underneath it where they're hearing voices. Where it started going after this, I thought was a foundation for a fairly solid mystery, honestly, where you have this deaf girl who is suddenly hearing voices from maybe the Virgin Mary that's luring her outside of the church. She thinks she sees the Virgin Mary and she's able to cause miracles to happen. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is kind of the journalist who's kind of their main go-to journalist in this regard. He's the one who's interviewing her. He's acting as kind of a go-between on all of this. But also you have the priests who are investigating whether or not miracles are happening, and it appears that they are. Like, she's causing a kid to walk. She's getting rid of someone's emphysema. There were little things I liked too about how much she's becoming a modern celebrity. Like her face, the deaf girl, her face is being put on t-shirts. They're selling bottles of her tears.
Which that was hilarious.
Yeah. I was digging that. I thought there was a lot of this movie that had groundwork for
Exactly.
what could be a much better movie than it is.
Exactly.
Because it's not that good of a movie.
No, it is not.
I can tell when Jerrid's not liking something, like, because like there were a few times during this movie where I just could suddenly hear, like,
or there was, or I'll like point out inconsistencies, like he's there at the tree with the congregation filming, like he's literally taking video.
Yeah,
but then you see him at the hotel later, and he's looking at photos.
dude, that's
like,
okay though,
wait.
because the ghost is inconsistent in this movie.
Right.
Sometimes that shit is powerful enough to just kill you on the spot,
Right.
and then to also melt words in the Bible, cause shit to just spontaneously combust.
Yes.
But then sometimes it can't go out of this room. Like,
Right.
It's really bright outside. So, sometimes it'll just pop up out of the water just to scare you. But then later on, it's causing statues' eyes to bleed and can appear in digital video and jump out of a computer screen.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
ah.
Yeah.
Again, it's things like that where I'm like, I bet you the book is better.
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
if the book is like, and then the ghost jumped out of the computer. There's so many jump scares in this movie. I'm going, I doubt in the book you're reading it, and then all of a sudden, unless it's a pop-up book. In that case, if it's a pop-up book, maybe this is fairly freaking accurate.
Could you imagine if this movie was like word for word, like in the book?
Yeah,
like,
maybe this is a really 100% adaptation.
Like the producers,
Yeah.
like, no, this is accurate to the source material. I'm telling you.
Because again, like I said, there's groundwork for a good mystery.
There
here.
really is.
But
By the third act, it's just. It just shit itself.
honestly, even before then, I thought because there were elements in the third act I liked.
Yeah.
This the ceremony that they're putting together, like there were things involved with that in the climax that I was digging, where there was a fair amount of decent tension sprinkled in there somewhere,
Right.
mixed in with some bad special effects.
Yes.
But because of things like the opening scene in the movie, and whenever this thing would just randomly pop out of the water for no reason and just appear behind people for no reason, you're constantly 10 steps ahead of everyone in this movie because of it. It pretty much tells you in the opening scene what this thing is, probably why they're doing what they're doing. You know, it's not, I mean, okay, yeah, granted, even if that wasn't there, it's not like you're sitting there going, oh, I bet it is the Virgin Mary. No, but when it's walking you through all this, holding your hand like you're 5.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone's trying to figure this out. I'm like, the movie's already telling me what
Right.
it is with all these bad edits that are in the
Right.
film.
Well, and so that's another thing too, is that there was all that unnecessary exposition. You know, like you're. Are we spoiling the movie or no? Like whenever they establish that she lives on through that Mary lives on through the deaf girl,
Yeah.
and then Mary tries to kill the deaf girl, and as she's melting away, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like, "You can't live on because you just killed your only descendant," and it's just like, thank you. Well, I know.
Not that,
Yeah, I know.
But all of that was rendered moot because of what happens next.
Right.
And also, again, that scene is still inconsistent with her powers. She can touch someone to turn them to ash,
Right.
but then just kind of leave a tiny little burn on someone's hand.
Right.
If the movie wants this person to live or wants them to die. There are some effects in this too that are bad, beyond bad, more so kind of laughable. The editing's bad in this movie. Like when you see at the beginning her vision of what the Virgin Mary looks like, it looks like the window from the Oogie Loves, which is kind of funny because Cary Elwes is in this movie too. And there's bad fire effects when that one guy gets it later on with the burning cross falling on him. That is not very well put together.
That was so funny though.
Oh, it was funny.
He's like, this flame represents the living God. Blowout.
Oh!
This flame represents the living God. Blowout.
Because in that moment, the ghost is a prankster.
Right.
Who's like a school bully standing behind you. It was frustrating because I was like, I could see how this could work. I could even see how a radical re-edit might fix a lot of things, and maybe putting some more extra money towards the effects. Because it could have been decent.
It could have. It wasn't.
No.
It was so.
No. I don't know. I don't want to give it too low of a grade. Not like
I'm kind of with you. You don't want to be like that cynic that's just like, oh, fucking F.
Oh no, that's the other character I play on another show on the channel. Because there is some solid acting in this, and I do like a handful of characters. It does have a good story.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Dean Morgan's always good.
Absolutely.
And he's good here. Because of that, I could see why someone would give it a lower grade, because it's like you had all of this and not much of it works as a whole.
Right.
But because there is some of that stuff in there, I am going to be wildly generous and give it a C-.
Wow.
I'm being generous.
You are.
I know I'm being generous, but I was like, it's because I could see where if they took some extra months and just took this back into the editing room and did something else with it, I think they would have something. So it's not a totally worthless movie.
Okay.
That's where that comes from. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff in this movie that does not work. And if you give it a really low grade, I understand.
I just can't be that generous.
I get it. I totally get it.
I'll tell you what, I'll give it a D. I'll give it a D.
Yeah, I understand that. I do.
Because I was like, wow, C-. Because here's the thing. Yeah, I'm with you. Love Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
I was expecting more with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. The story, like you said, had a great framework. It just ruins it, like you said, about halfway through. It should have. Man, I don't know. It honestly felt like about halfway through they just gave up. They just didn't want to try anymore. They're just like, whatever.
We just need to shit this out of theaters.
Yeah.
Kinda. It does sort of have that feel to it.
Yeah.
It really does. But I do put it above, because they probably started out with this with pretty good intentions, maybe.
Exactly, yeah.
Which does put it above some of the more forgettable bottom of the barrel things that I would go to in January. So I know I should probably give it something lower, but I'll stick with the C-.
All right. Hey, no, you stick with your guns, man.
Yeah, I'll stick with it.
If you want to. Wow,
I'll probably be
generous.
thinking something else tomorrow, but now I'm like, oh, there's decent things about it. I don't know.
I think if anything, I would just want to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan just emulate Negan more often. Like he comes out.
Well, then go see Rampage. He even has the Negan lean. In Rampage, he's awesome in Rampage.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, these miracles are a hoax. Straight up motherfucking hoax. Like that, I'd be damn, this movie is awesome.
Trying to typecast this poor man. Alright, well, I don't know what next week is. It might be another thing like this, where we'll go into it having only heard of it a few days prior. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.